When I left that situation, the day I got up and left, I knew I was victorious then, because nobody but God gave me the strength to get up and get out.
You won't believe what Yolanda Adams just admitted. At 62, the queen of gospel music has finally confirmed what we have all been whispering about for years. Known for her powerful voice that is basically next level, Yolanda has been a superstar in the music industry. But despite her incredible success, rumors have followed her throughout her entire career. And now, Yolanda herself has admitted that all those wild speculations, they are true. So what were these rumors? Were they really as shocking as we all thought? Let's watch this video and find out. Early life. Yolanda Adams' story starts in Houston, Texas, where she was born on August 27, 1961. She was the oldest of 6 kids, and you know what that means, responsibility from day one. Growing up in a household that revolved around faith and music, Yolanda didn't have much choice but to be steeped in both. But honestly, it did not seem like she ever minded. Music and spirituality were a huge part of her life from a super young age, and it was not long before she started to stand out. At just 3 years old, Yolanda stood in front of her church and performed her first solo. Yes, 3 years old. Most kids are still learning how to string a sentence together, but Yolanda was already showing off her voice. That performance might have seemed small back then, but it was the first sign of the powerhouse she would become. You could say she was always destined for greatness, and she was not shy about it, even as a kid. Yolanda's home was filled with the sounds of gospel legends like James Cleveland and the Edwin Hawkins, and it definitely rubbed off on her. You can still hear that influence in her music today. But it was not just the gospel that shaped her. Yolanda's mom was a talented pianist who made sure her daughter got a taste of different musical genres too. Jazz, classical music, R&B, you name it. Yolanda was listening to it. This wide range of musical exposure gave her a unique sound that would later set her apart from everyone else in the gospel scene. She blended everything she learned into something all her own. Of course, life was not always easy for her. When Yolanda was just 13, her father passed away, and it was a huge blow to the family. It was one of those moments that could have easily derailed her, but instead it pushed her closer to music. She joined the Southeast Inspirational Choir and found comfort in gospel. During what was a really tough time, music became her way of healing, her way of dealing with the pain. But even with music being such a huge part of her life, Yolanda did not just focus on that. Family was important, and she took her responsibilities seriously. While she was improving her musical talent, she was also helping her mom take care of her younger siblings, and when it came time for college, she decided to stay close to home. She attended Texas Southern University so she could keep supporting her family while getting her degree. What might surprise some people is that she didn't study music. Nope, she went for a degree in broadcasting. Yolanda clearly had a lot of interests, and she was not about to limit herself. After college, she did not jump straight into a music career either. Instead, she became an elementary school teacher, working with 2nd and 3rd graders for 7 years. Can you imagine being one of those kids? Your teacher is literally a future gospel legend, but she is teaching you how to read and write. It must have been pretty cool for them. But the music never took a back seat. On weekends, Yolanda was still out there, performing with the Southeast Inspirational Choir. It was like she was living 2 lives, teacher by day, gospel singer by night. And even though gospel was her main focus, she was not afraid to pull inspiration from other places. She loved R&B, jazz, and even artists like Stevie Wonder and Nancy Wilson, which helped shape her style into something fresh and exciting. At 6'1", Yolanda could have easily pursued a career in fashion modeling too. In fact, she had dreams of being a model alongside her teaching job. And honestly, her height and presence definitely became part of her stage persona later on. She was known for her voice, yes, but she also had a commanding presence that drew people in. Even though her reputation as a singer was growing, Yolanda did not always see gospel music as her career path. She loved it, sure, but in her mind, it was more of a passion than something that would take over her life. Little did she know, though, that her voice was about to catapult her to the top. Yolanda's standout performances with the choir eventually caught the attention of the right people, and her solo career was born. In 1980, she got a solo on their hit song My Liberty, and the rest is history. It was not long before she became a star, but this was just the beginning. Even with all the attention she was getting, this was not the peak of her success. Do you know when that came? Grammys and more? Yolanda Adams took a big step forward in her career with the 1995 release of More Than a Melody. This album really promoted her vocal abilities and her willingness to explore different sounds. She didn't stick to one lane. You had songs like The Good Shepherd that brought in jazz vibes, and then Gotta Have Love mixed things up with some rap elements. It was clear Yolanda was not afraid to experiment, and that paid off. Her music was not just limited to gospel radio stations anymore. It was being played on urban contemporary and jazz stations too. Then came 1998, and Yolanda made a great decision. She signed with Elektra Records, a major secular label. This definitely raised some eyebrows in the gospel community. People wondered if she was going to change her message or compromise her beliefs. But Yolanda was not backing down. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was expanding her platform, reaching more people, and staying true to her values. Before she made her big Elektra debut, she dropped Songs from the Heart. This album was all about taking traditional church hymns and giving them a fresh spin with modern R&B, jazz, and hip-hop influences. It was yet another example of how Yolanda blended the old with the new, creating something entirely her own. Her first album with Elektra, Mountain High, Valley Low, came out in 1999, and it was a turning point in her life. The album received a ton of attention, and Yolanda's star power only grew. She won her first Grammy in 2000 for Best Contemporary Soul Gospel Album. One of the standout tracks, Open My Heart, became a hit across the both gospel and R&B charts. Produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, the song connected with a wide audience and really solidified her place in the mainstream music world without losing the core of what made her music special. After that, Elektra kept the momentum going. She released Christmas with Yolanda Adams and The Experience, which was a live album that gave fans a chance to hear her in her element. In 2001, she dropped Believe, an album that pushed the boundaries between gospel and R&B even more. Though her career hit a bit of a pause in the early 2000s due to personal struggles and label changes, Yolanda's impact never wavered. But if you think her talents are restricted to the world of music, you cannot be more wrong. What incredible things has she done other than creating extraordinary music, beyond music? In 2005, Yolanda Adams took a step that showed just how committed she is to giving back. She founded the Voice of an Angel Foundation, which is a charity focused on encouraging students to pursue careers in teaching. Yolanda has always been about empowering others, and this foundation was a way for her to inspire young people to give back to their communities through education. Other than this, she has also partnered with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to promote childhood immunizations, especially in underserved communities. And she has been a strong supporter of organizations like the Children's Defense Fund, showing that her dedication to helping others runs deep. In 2007, Yolanda entered a whole new world, the world of radio. She became the host of a morning radio show on a gospel station in Houston, but this was not your typical gospel program. Yolanda had a vision to create a clean, faith-based alternative to the usual morning shows, and it worked. The show gained popularity fast and was soon syndicated across the Radio 1 network, reaching listeners in over a dozen cities. Her show was not strictly about gospel music either. Yolanda wanted to reach everyone, so she played a diverse mix of artists like Mariah Carey, George Benson, and John Mayer. People loved the balance of music, current events, and faith-based content. Within 2 years, her show was airing in 26 radio markets across the country. It was not just her fans who loved it. The show's co-host, Marcus D. Wiley, brought extra energy with his character, Bishop Secular. The show ran for a full decade before wrapping up in 2016, and then by 2019, the demand for Yolanda's radio magic brought the show back on the air, this time through Texas Southern University's KTSU FM 90.9. Meanwhile, Yolanda's music career kept evolving. After leaving Atlantic Records, she signed with Columbia Records. She later revealed the reason that Columbia was known for nurturing vocalists like Beyoncé and Celine Dion, and Yolanda wanted to be somewhere that appreciated great singers. She knew this was where she belonged. Yolanda's ambitions also took her to the world of fashion. Her clothing line, Yolanda's Closet, was designed for tall women like herself. The line featured jeans, t-shirts, and more, with plans for both online and department store sales. Yolanda clearly knew how to take her influence to different industries. In 2007, Yolanda gave a memorable performance at Madison Square Garden for a star-studded gospel concert. Her rendition of Someone Watching Over You was so powerful that even the New York Times praised her for her vocal improvisations, likening them to a preacher's rhythm. And as if that was not enough, Yolanda kept the momentum going with her 2007 Christmas album, What a Wonderful Time, produced by hitmakers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. The album mixed her take on classic Christmas songs with original compositions, adding her signature touch to holiday music. But all this success does not mean she lived a peaceful life. In fact, it was the opposite. Have you ever heard of the controversies that have followed her throughout the years?
Controversies. Yolanda Adams' personal life has had its share of ups and downs, just like anyone else's, but with the added spotlight of fame, her struggles became even more public. One of the most difficult chapters in her life came to light during a 1994 interview when she opened up about being in an abusive marriage. At just 25, Yolanda married Troy Mason in 1987, but the relationship didn't last long. It ended in divorce by 1990. Yolanda revealed that the abuse had actually started before they even walked down the aisle. She spoke about how love can blind you to the warning signs. In her words, she was so in love that she didn't want to see anything wrong with him. It is a story that many can relate to. Sometimes we are so caught up in the idea of love that we overlook the red flags right in front of us. That experience, as painful as it was, taught Yolanda some hard but important lessons about keeping her relationship with God strong above all else. She realized that no one should come before that spiritual connection. Despite the heartbreak, Yolanda did not let that chapter define her. Instead, she found a sense of purpose in her pain. She knew there were other women out there going through the same thing, and she wanted to use her platform to reach them. Her transparency about her struggles became one of the most important parts of her ministry. By being open about her hardships, she showed her audience that behind the smiles and the stage presence, she is human too. She has faced some real battles, just like they have. That honesty made her even more relatable and allowed her to connect on a deeper level. But Yolanda's love life did not stop after her first marriage. In 1997, she married former NFL player Tim Crawford. They had a daughter, Taylor Adams Crawford, in 2001. For a while, things seemed happy, but by 2004, the marriage had ended in divorce. Being a mother brought Yolanda great joy, but the end of her second marriage added another layer of complexity to her personal life. These experiences clearly influenced how she approached relationships and offered advice to others. One memorable moment came during her radio show, Yolanda's Take. A woman wrote in asking for advice about her complicated relationship with a divorced pastor. Yolanda did not sugarcoat her response. She told the woman that she was essentially prostituting herself by moving in with a man who was not her husband and still claimed to love his ex-wife. It was a bold, no-nonsense take that may have shocked some listeners, but Yolanda was not one to tiptoe around the truth. She believed that sometimes tough love is the best love, even if it is uncomfortable to hear. Yolanda's personal life has often been the subject of speculation, particularly regarding her long-standing friendship with fellow gospel artist Donnie McClurkin. The two have been close for decades. This started the rumor that they were romantically involved. McClurkin even appeared on Yolanda's morning radio show to address these rumors. While the gossip persisted, both Yolanda and Donnie maintained that they were just friends, but the public could not help but talk. Beyond her personal relationships, Yolanda was involved in a few controversies within the gospel community. You see, in 2016, she faced criticism for her response to some controversial comments made by fellow gospel singer Kim Burrell. Burrell's statements were widely seen as homophobic, and Yolanda did not hesitate to distance herself from them. She went on Facebook to make her stance clear. She talked about her love for her gay friends and family members. Yolanda made it clear that in her view, Christianity is all about love, not hate. She wrote, "Hateful words are never profitable to the cause of Christ. Jesus said they will know you by your love." This response won her praise for her inclusivity, but it did not sit well with Burrell. She felt disappointed that Yolanda, as a fellow Houston native and gospel artist, did not reach out to her privately before going public with her statement. Despite this, Yolanda stood firm in her beliefs.
She chose to prioritize her message of love and acceptance over potentially avoiding conflict. The rumors. So with all the personal ups and downs we have covered, you might wonder, what about the rumors we told you about in the beginning? Well, over the years she has had her fair share of gossip, particularly when it comes to her appearance and fashion choices. As a gospel artist with a keen eye for style, she has often walked a fine line between personal expression and the sometimes strict expectations of the gospel community. One of the most talked about rumors revolves around her approach to fashion. People have long debated what is or isn't appropriate for a gospel artist to wear. This topic really heated up when her friend, Erica Campbell from Mary Kay, faced backlash for wearing a form-fitting white dress on her album cover. And of course, when that controversy broke, Yolanda was not one to stay silent. In an interview, she stood up for Erica. She made it clear that her friend was not trying to be provocative and that she just wanted to look good. And really, who can blame her? Yolanda pointed out the obvious. Gospel artists, just like anyone else, want to stay fashionable and relevant. But she also acknowledged how tricky this balance can be, especially for women with different body types. What fits one person a certain way might look entirely different for someone else. Yolanda used her own experience to make the point. Standing tall and slim with curves, she explained how certain outfits could be misinterpreted as too much, even when that's far from the intention. She made it clear, though, that she is not about to start wearing shapeless, baggy clothes just to avoid criticism. After all, no matter what you wear, someone is going to have an opinion. Her take on fashion is thoughtful and grounded. Yolanda says she always considers how her choices align with her faith and values. This mindful approach extends to her own clothing line, Yolanda's Closet, where she ensures that each piece reflects her style while staying respectful. Yolanda faced these rumors bravely and proved once again that she was not afraid of tough conversations. Her candid approach opens up a broader discussion about the balance between faith and self-expression in the gospel music world. In other words, Yolanda Adams is nothing short of remarkable. Every song she sings carries a message of hope and strength that goes far beyond just hitting the high notes. What's truly inspiring is her grace in the face of adversity. She is real, relatable, and unafraid to stand up for what she believes in, making her a true inspiration to so many. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tell us what you think in the comment below.